So welcome back, guys, and we're here with our next tutorial, and by popular demand it's a tutorial on Lumion, and a lot of you have requested this and we thought we'd give it a test run. Again, this is not an advanced tutorial. Lumion is quite a simple program, but it is a lot of fun, so we're kind of kicking off with it. So this is the final image, and it was really honestly very quick to make. I think this was 2-3 hours from not understanding much about Lumion to getting here. I would also like to thank Lumion. I've been trying to reach out to them, and they actually reached out later on and came back to us and said, oh, do you want to try the program and do a tutorial on it? And I'm super happy to do it because I believe in it, really, and I haven't done anything like this in the past, but I think this is a great piece of program, and I'm really happy to kind of put it out there. One other thing I wanted to also say is don't forget to like, subscribe, comment below. It really helps get the videos going and make us create more videos for you guys, just like this one. So with no further delay, let's get into it and let's start the process. So this is where the fun begins, and we really start to get into Lumion. And I think this was like the second or third time that I really started to mess about with it and really have a bit of fun. So we've divided this tutorial up into 3 simple steps. So we've started with 3D Max, just to get the basic model it all up, and we're kind of using Lumion as a render engine. Then we've stepped into Lumion and we've textured it, we've lit it, and we've set it all up so that we can take it into post, and then just a very quick post-production at the end to show you what we've come up with. Okay guys, so here we are with our 3D model, and this one was done in 3D Max, and again you can use SketchUp, really whatever 3D program you prefer. Great thing about Lumion is that you can actually bring in the 3D Max model directly into Lumion. This was modeled by one of our team members, Danny, and it's just a very simple model, and we knew where we wanted the cameras to be, so we didn't really go into too much modeling too extensively, and we've just put in our simple furniture because I think Lumion still, the library is not great, and from what I've seen online, I've seen some really nice tutorials as well in regards to Lumion. Everyone tends to bring in their own furnishing, so yeah, if you have any problems with the surfaces and they're not showing up, just shell them, and I find that brings them in. We also separate it out by materials. I know SketchUp can do that, and pretty much all other programs, and basically Lumion just interprets those. So let's kick this off into Lumion. So here goes, and we've started our Lumion project, and we've basically brought in our model. Again, I'm going to be narrating a little bit of this, then I'm going to be making some pauses, and you can just enjoy the process. This one we haven't actually sped up too much, so you should be able to see how everything works. And please keep in mind, this is also a learning process here with what we were doing and when I was trying to learn this, but it's so quick and intuitive that you really start to understand. Now, as you can see, I've delved in straight away into just getting the basic materials. This is very similar to the workflow of any project that we work on. So we'll start with our basic materials, just getting everything set up. Now, I knew already more or less where the camera was coming from, so I knew it was about this direction. And I'm just getting into understanding what is what, your basic grass, your basic concrete, stucco, things like that. And it's so quick and intuitive just to choose those materials. And again, Lumion is divided in such an easy way where it has the materials, it has the environment, and it has the lighting. You'll see as we go through that. So again, just testing out a little bit of what materials should go where. Again, this was a very open brief, and I was trying to understand it as I went along. Thought this could be kind of a rock pool where we'd have some flames coming through. I really just wanted to make something quite pure, white, and essential. It really didn't go too complex, and see how photographic we could really get it to be. So another great thing about Lumion is the capacity to basically see what you're doing straight away. So you really get a feel for where the light is coming, how more or less the light is going to be, how the textures are going to react, how the reflections are going to react. And especially in this latest version, I think I'm using 9.02, it's fantastic because you can really kind of get global illumination where where in the shadows you have light that reflects off walls and things like that. So it is really amazing in that aspect to kind of see straight away what you're doing. And the way that we've used it and the way that I'm using it at the moment is just to kind of work as a rendering engine, basically. So bringing in everything, but it textures and it lights and it does everything else. And it's super simplistic. You saw we just went to the camera, the camera symbol, and you just click on realistic and it kind of already sets everything up. And that controls the camera. So your cameras are then stored there. Now I'm just kind of trying to understand how water reacts, and you can draw your own pools. You can, if you don't have a water plane. It looks really nice. Water is something that's super hard to achieve really well. And I think in these real-time engines, it doesn't look bad at all. And you get the caustics, which is, you get that filtering of the light through the water where you see those ripples. And as I went along, I was just saving various works in progress. And you see that you can also render super quick. The one thing about Lumion is you really have to have a strong, a really good graphics card and a good processor and a lot of RAM. So I think we're using a 1080 Ti, GTX Ti on this. So it's super quick and it runs really well. But yeah, it is super intensive. So again, just sorting through all the materials, just trying to get that balance of all the materials working and testing out that water. In the end, I saw it really didn't work. The controls are kind of just like a video game. So your W to go forward, your S to go back, A to go to the left, and D to go to the right. And then you can go up and down with Q and E. It's really just reminds me of playing a video game, which is great. It's so fast and intuitive, and you can adjust the textures. Once you select, you go into your texture tab and you just select the geometry. Again, it groups everything that's from Max that has the same texture, and you just double click it, the material, and it just applies to what you're using. And then you can adjust the roughness, the reflection. It's really quick and intuitive. Honestly, it's such a breeze. And now just going into the entourage. So this is the next step where we kind of start to look into the entourage. We start to find what's going on with the environment around. I switched that to water, and it just looks amazing. Again, it's not so much about this being a deserted island, but I just wanted to test and see how it looked and develop all these environmental things. As I more or less knew the camera we were going to have, I didn't worry too much about it. Now, just experimenting around, are we going to make it sand or not? I think I kept it sand for the time being. And then I think the trees are one of the greatest things about Lumion, especially if you're an architect and you just want to quickly populate something. It is fantastic. You can really get those trees and just the diversity, and I think they look great, to be honest, when you render them. I think, again, in post, you can always add a little mix of both post-produced trees, 2D trees, and 3D trees. Again, just plugging our Photopacks below. Don't forget to download those, where you can download a lot of really realistic stuff. And then, as you can see, I'm kind of experimenting around with the lights. Now, you have this thing called Real Skies, which has polygon skies, and they're absolutely amazing, and it just makes the image look very photorealistic. You can see, I mean, the shadows, the color, everything is really nicely done. And you can even go into dusk shots, and at one stage I really start to experiment with that, and yeah, it's just great. You can see already it's coming out super well. And I mean, this again, I don't have much experience in this, so I'm just testing out all these various things, the library, the entourage, the textures, the lighting, and it's hyper quick. Even these small mountain blobs, let's call them blobs, you can see I'm just inserting those in and kind of trying to test them. This is, again, I love diving and everything, and surfing, everything connected to the sea. So naturally I always go to these types of subjects, and you can see basically I'm just adjusting these to really fit the image and to really get a good understanding of the composition in this image, and just moving these objects around quickly is fantastic for that. I mean, I really think Lumion is a great tool, especially for architects. It won't substitute what visualizers do, because you work on a different level, huge master plans, things like that, and you need to have some flex, and you know, there's various technical elements. It won't substitute that, but it is fantastic to get quick concepts out. I mean, even testing the camera, you can see just how good it looks just in the main viewport. When I'm looking around in the camera with the lighting, it just looks really amazing, really, really fantastic. And it just kind of fills you with ideas to do quick concepts. And it just kind of blew me away and how fun it was. Now that I've kind of sorted more or less the entourage and the plants and the trees, they're pretty much all there. I'm just kind of refining, but I tend to go to the next step where it's more about just refining that lighting. Now you see as it comes up that I do try and test out a few different lightings, but I ended up just going with a simple daytime lighting, just to kind of test this out quickly. And yeah, just different elements of the entourage that I'm looking through, rocks and things like that. And I haven't even used any scattering elements, so where you can put large surfaces and just scatter. You can just choose the surface and scatter various trees, and it will basically click and rotate those trees. And on the right, if you look, when you have something selected, it basically just above the camera symbol, just on the lower right, it gives you all the shortcuts for the keyboard. And if you just hover over it, it actually tells you what it does. And that's fantastic. I find that super intuitive and really nice of them to include in. And they're not, you know, you've got a million shortcuts for all the programs you use and you tend to forget. So these ones really help out. Now that we're getting there pretty much. So everything's coming together more or less. Again, I'm just, I mean, this could be much quicker. You just have to remind yourselves this was like probably my second or third time using this and really looking into it. And it's just so hyper quick and intuitive. Just moving things around compositionally to see how it works, if it's popping in that background. I'm just, I already had the idea of what I wanted to do for the image. So it'd be a beach on the right. And I kind of thought this could be a surf villa. And just saving out and rendering as I go along. And you'll notice that, yeah, again, once again, go to the realistic, the real skies. And I started to test out some different types of moods. So trying to understand different types of lighting. Now, I really feel that the lighting is great, but I feel that it's very contrasty. And I feel like, at least in the trees and things like that, you should be able to add a little more reflection so it doesn't go so dark, because there's a big contrast between light and dark. And I think in 3D programs, you have this global illumination, so you have the sky, and you can kind of pump that up, at least in Corona, so you don't get such dark contrasty things. And I think something about it is missing in that aspect. I know you can go around with skies and you can pump up the sky intensity, but I found that it was just too contrasty. That it needs a little more smoothness, just a little more in the colors, not so sharp between the darks and the lights. Just trying to place some lights and trying to understand how these lights would react. And it's just, once again, so easy to put these in, and it kind of snaps to the edge of the geometry, so that when you put something up against a wall, it just knows where it is and it just snaps it to there. You notice, like, it could have used some finessing. At least it was snapping a bit more. I wanted to put it just underneath that step, and I wasn't able to. Now, I'm sure there is a way to kind of do that, but it wasn't anything immediate. Again, you can shift the color of the light, you can shift the intensity, you can shift the fall off. And even one thing to keep in mind is you see that I'm previewing this at night. So if you go to the sun, you can preview it. But one thing I learned is that then you go to the camera and it's whatever camera you have set up. Again, light elements, just to test some IES lights, see how those work. And I found it was pretty good. Really, really good. just saving as I go along, just testing those out. And you see what I'm saying with the, when you go back to the camera, that you've got the stored camera, but yeah, it doesn't show up necessarily in your preview mode when you're working on it. But I found with some time, it really has a lot of potential. It is especially fun to kind of work on and come up with quick concepts. I wish this was around when I was in uni. I would have firstly got a lot better projects shown, because it's just so powerful and intuitive, and I wouldn't be spending so much time on learning a software. It's really, really nice. So I've kind of decided already on where I'm going with it, but I just wanted to show you guys this little bit, because these were tests that I did just to test out the various types of light and just how quick you can get to these moods just by changing around those real skies that are provided by Polygon. Also testing out just this time with global illumination and what I talked about, just using the skies that come from Lumion that are not the real skies, and the sun, which you can adjust similar to Corona's light mix, very, very similar in a different way, where you can adjust the sunlight and also the shadow, so you can pump up those shadows. So we are getting to the final part of this tutorial, where it's just about the refinement, just understanding how much we were going to refine in this, and basically, again, seeing what the sunlight was doing, the color of the sunlight I wanted, doing various tests and exporting those tests, and really just manipulating those final little bits. And you can see we're just really at the end, and this wasn't too distant from what we went through. Again, just a straight on shot, trying to have those verticals all aligned and nice. And just, there we go. And we render it, and it's super quick to render. And then it's just the final rendering where we saved out, I think it was like 7,000 pixels and something. Switch on all the passes and just render that and get that ready to go into Photoshop. Then we're on to my favorite part of the process, which is the post-production. Now, this is especially fun, of course, because it was just subbing out a backplate and just kind of matching the two together and adding a little bit more. We're not going to go too much in depth to this. So basically, it's been explained in other tutorials, and I wanted to do something really quick, especially for an architect. You just want to create something relatively quick with a few adjusts. So that's what I did, just thinking, okay, I'm in a firm and I want to get this out just very quickly to show my boss or something. And yeah, just looking through the various Photopacks we have. Again, don't forget to check them out online and you can download them. But yeah, just finding something really nice. I think this one is specifically from Sri Lanka, if I'm not in error. And basically, I just wanted this very tropical palms, and I'm contrasting the actual render. I've separated out the alpha mask from the background, from the foreground, and I'm just trying to bring those two together and add a little bit of information and contrast. And you see that I've just skipped a couple of things, so nothing too much, just contrasting, just again building your eye and understanding what needs to be. How you can see the glass, I've just darkened that because I think glass as well, it's not super reflective. One thing I see a lot is very bright glass, and glass, it is reflective, but it depends the way that it reflects, and it can also be quite transparent in some cases where you have this very dark background. And just adding a little bit of the grade, so you see it's just divided out by render and the grade, and just bringing those elements like the chaise longue to be a bit darker, so all the colors are coming together, and nothing special at all. This is the one thing that I wanted to show about Lumion, is it's just like any other render engine. There is no secret to it. It is really simple, and you just with a bit of post and doing it in post, you can really achieve some great results. Now I worked through this a little bit more. It wasn't a whole bunch more, but basically we came up with a really nice concept of just this surfing villa that you can see on screen. And this is really the final product that we came to. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. And I hope you guys enjoy that little bit. Now on to the conclusions. So now on to the conclusions. Now, I think Lumion is a great tool. I really love it. It's fantastic, but not without its negatives as well. So I want to just talk a little bit about the likes and dislikes. So what I really like is it's super intuitive. It's very quick to set up. It's very easy to use. It's a fantastic tool. I can imagine it being used by architects all around, students, whatever. It's super easy to get set up and create something really nice and really quickly. And I think this is like the big main point of it. The dislikes is, I think the library, although it's great in trees and things like that, I think it's lacking in furnitures. I think we could use a lot more furnitures, rugs, things like that, just to populate. I mean, and that are more design-like, that are a bit nicer. I think also, like, it would be good to have some controls for Forest, just like you have Forest Pro and scattering tools in 3D Max. I'd like to see something around that could be have a little more. It would also be great to have a little more control over the light and the colors and how things work. And I think as well, moving about, it was great, but moving objects, I at least wasn't able to find like shortcuts that locks it to certain axes. So I think it's got a lot of stuff there that it can really build upon, but it is already a fantastic tool and it delivers amazing quality. And I think, yeah, for what they've done, I remember when it came out in the first few versions and I was reading about these real-time engines and I thought, this is definitely the future. And already at those times, I thought they were doing great stuff. And I haven't even started to go into animation because once you get into the animation part of it, you have rain, you have all these things. I think we're getting to that stage where real-time rendering is really getting there with these engines like Lumion, Unreal, things like that. It is a bunch of fun and really quick and simple. So I hope you guys have liked the tutorial. That's all from myself. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell, all these other beautiful things you can do to keep an eye. Yeah, we're very happy that we did this. There was a vote online, so your input really counts on what we do and what we get out there. So yeah, if you have any ideas, don't be afraid to just ask and see. We have some more stuff coming up. If you'd like to see more Lumion stuff, we can actually delve into it also a little bit more in detail. And yeah, guys, that's all from me, Pedro, from the studio and from the team here at Archi9. One last thing, as always, don't forget to do it in post.